Just want to make sure.
All right, do we have the bulk of everyone in at this point? Yeah, and then folks can see out on the screen as well. Welcome, good morning, how's everybody doing? All right, we are thrilled to have everyone here for this special edition of Brewing Up Business. My name is Tammy Wallace. I'm the co-founder and board chair of the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber. We're so thrilled to have you here today, but also we think about September 11th on this day of remembrance, but we also look to honor our officers that are in the room and our first responders that have done so much and give so much back to our community. And I couldn't be more thrilled, and I'm looking forward to introducing the chief in a moment. But I do want to just take a few minutes to, it's going to be tough, to honor September 11th and this day of remembrance. And I think some of you have probably seen this on social media. This comes out with a frame of thinking about last night. On this day, 18 years ago, 246 people went to sleep in preparation for their morning flights. 2,606 people went to sleep in preparation for work in the morning. 343 firefighters went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. 60 police officers went to sleep in preparation for morning patrol. 8 paramedics went to sleep in preparation for the morning shift of saving lives. None of them saw past 10 a.m. on September the 11th, 2001. Join us for a moment of silence as we remember those lives lost. Thank you. I am really thrilled. We're gonna we have our normal programming this morning, so I'm gonna ask everyone to stick around with us, but the chief, as you can imagine, is on a tight time schedule this morning, so I want to get him up here. I'm really, really thrilled. We reached out to engage the chief and say, hey, would you join us? Thank you, Sergeant, for helping us coordinate, get him here. We really, really do appreciate it. Let me tell you a little bit about Chief Acevedo. He was sworn in as the chief of the Houston Police Department on November the 30th, 2016. He leads a department of 5,200 sworn law enforcement officers, 1,200 civilian support personnel with an annual general fund budget of $825 million, and the fourth largest city in the United States. He believes good communication is vital for a successful community and steadily works to strengthen the bond between the community and its police department. He's a proponent of community policing. He refers to the proven practice as relational policing, an opportunity to forge, and this is certainly who he is, a relationship with each citizen and officer, that they come in contact with. Now, if you haven't followed the chief on Twitter, you must do so. Do that now, because he is an amazing, he puts up some amazing posts on Twitter. I wanted to add too, this is his formal bio, but I want to say, Chief, thank you for being a strong LGBTQ ally. He's done remarkable work with the liaisons in the department. We appreciate that. He is absolutely a champion for Houston, and I would tell you, he is absolutely the voice that we need leading our police department in this day, in this age in Houston, Texas. Chief, please join us.
Wow. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. What a kind introduction. I think that was probably one of the more personal introductions, one of those comments. I just want to thank you, and I really want to thank the members of our LGBTQ committee that we put together. I remember when I got here in 2016, November 30th, the mayor offered me the job, and he gave me 2 weeks. He says, I need you in 2 weeks. I go, 2 weeks? He goes, yeah, I want you there for the Super Bowl. And I remember telling him, well, okay, Mayor, but here's the parameters. If I say yes and the Super Bowl goes well, I'm going to say you got me here just in time. If it goes sideways, you got me here too late. So just know that's going to be my statement. And thank God, thanks to this wonderful community we call the City of Houston and Harris County, and this wonderful police department and family of first responders, we had an amazing event. But I asked, where is our group? Where is our group that is a group to ensure that we create a safe space and we send the message to our workforce and to the community that we serve that the LGBTQ community matters to us, that they're welcoming, that we welcome that community and that we embrace that community. And we didn't have one, and I think it took a lot of pride in, but we got these folks. So can the committee please stand up so we can recognize you for actually doing the extra work? We really appreciate it. Let's give them a big hand. I'm really proud of these folks. So thank you all. And so to me, 9/11, we'll talk a little bit of that real quickly. And 9/11, everybody remembers where they were at. It's truly our Pearl Harbor of our generation. And then if you think about Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and you think about that day, a day that lives in infamy, this is a day that is the only time it's happened on American soil where we've been hit to that extent, like we did that day. And I remember being the captain and commander of the East Los Angeles Station of the California Highway Patrol, and getting the call right after the first, shortly after the first building was hit. And probably an accident. Things can happen. There's a lot of air traffic in New York. And within, I think it was like an hour or so, I'm watching the coverage. It's really early in the West Coast, and all of a sudden that second plane hit. And I looked at my wife and I said, "We're at war. I've got to go." And I'll never forget that, because there's no such thing as, lightning does not strike twice in the same spot within the hour. So I said, "We're at war. I've got to go." Called the station, said put everybody on tactical alert, start bringing everybody in. I'll never forget, there's nothing more frustrating as a police officer than when you're going through lights and sirens and people don't understand that means get out of the way. It doesn't mean slam on your brakes in front of the police car. It doesn't mean go left. It doesn't mean slow down. It means safely yield to the right, because the officers, if you follow the rules of the road, are going to try to go to your left. And here I just go through the middle. That's the only way you're going to get through traffic. But on that day, what really was really eerie is that I've never seen at that time, and I haven't seen since, the people respond to lights and sirens like they did that day. I think that it became a moment that everybody understood very quickly that we've reached a new point in our nation's history. And if you think about December 7th, you think about September 11th, think about the greatest generation. I really believe that as great as the World War II generation was, that our military today are truly unsung heroes. We cannot thank them enough when you think about the fact that they not only have been fighting a global war on terrorism and a global war on these issues, but they're volunteers, every single one of them. And they volunteer to not go once, but they'll go twice and 3 times and 4 deployments and spending time. If you think about the Vietnam War, my brother-in-law is a Purple Heart recipient of the Vietnam War, and he did one tour in the Army as a infantryman. He went one time. And most folks in Vietnam went one time. But these soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guards, members of the Coast Guard, they go and they go again. Then you add to that, in our department where we have law enforcement and first responders across the country, we have a lot of folks that wear 2 uniforms. They wear their first uniform here, and then they wear overseas. They wear their military uniform. And so we are very proud of the fact that we just received the Department of Defense, the Secretary of Defense's highest honor for an employer, for the way that we support our reserves and guardsmen. And I'm really proud of the fact that we won that in Austin. We won it here. So I'm really proud of that. But anyway, yeah, what can you do? Look, you hear from the critics all the time. You might as well take a bow every once in a while for the organization. But it's not about the police chief. It's really about the culture that we have. We're really family. And then you think about this city where you're right, Madam President. We are you the president or the executive director, right? All the above. We're going to call you, okay, you're the grand poobah of the LGBTQ chamber. But if I lose my train of thoughts, I'm going to have to bring me back on board. We had a lot going on today. My mind's going at about 300 miles an hour. We have the DNC tomorrow, right? But let's talk about real quick, and then I'm going to open up the quick questions, and we'll get out of your hair. Let's talk about where we're at as a nation today. If somebody would have told me 20 years ago, as a Cuban by birth, but an American by the grace of God, that we would be accepting the new norms of today, where leaders at the highest levels of government are making comments about people of color, people of different religions, nations, depending on what continent you come from. If they would have told me that we would accept those norms in 2019, I would have told them, you're crazy. Not America. We're too pragmatic. It won't happen. But guess what? We are. And words matter. They have consequences. You all need to know, this chamber, the members of this chamber, that hate crimes are up, that the racist groups, think about the history of the civil rights movement in this nation. At least back in the 40s and 50s and 30s, they wore hoods. But they're so emboldened right now that they don't even bother covering their faces because we're legitimizing hate through speech. And I will just close with you all to tell you this. I'm proud of the fact that this police department, this police chief, this generation of police leaders, history will say that we were on the right side of history because we weighed in. And so those that say that to me, hey, you're being political because you're standing up for the LGBTQ community, I think that our participation, it's probably bigger than it's ever been, I would assume. When we're in our uniforms out there, it's about creating through relational policing the reality and what people need to know, that we are here for everyone. But you need to know that we're going to continue to speak out. Pay attention to what's going on. Whether it's gun violence, whether it's immigration policies that are absolutely, we need immigration reform, whether it's people, transgender folks, that all they want to do is serve their country. And now we're saying, oh, it's about legal immigration. We're not against legal immigration, we're against illegal immigration. And then those are the words, but then when you look at the actions, every step taken is to limit immigration from countries of people of color. I mean, I just did a thing the other day that's coming out in November on Frontline, a documentary where I said, hey, the elephant in the room this is just hateful rhetoric. It's hateful policies. They're hateful for the sake of hate. And whether it's people of color, people of different religions, people of a different sexual orientation, it is hate nonetheless. And unless we have those real frank, open conversations, we're in trouble. So I will close by telling you, God is watching you, your person of faith. And I love going to the communities of faith and saying, hey, you can fool your neighbor, you can fool your spouse, you can fool your rabbi, you can fool your pastor, you can fool your imam, but you ain't fooling God. And he's going to hold us accountable, because I was in Congress yesterday meeting with Senator Cornyn and Mitch McConnell, who I will just, if you're not going to say something nice, don't say anything at all. It took every cell in my body not to go off on that guy, but I was representing major city chiefs as the president, so it wasn't just Crazy Art Oswald on Twitter. I was representing another organization. But the truth of the matter is, what I hope they understand is that you can't espouse your faith and talk about faith and your prayers and all this stuff with all this gun violence and everything that goes on. And for every shooting that happens, these active shooters, we just stopped one last week. Nobody even knows about it. Where a patrol officer, but for the grace of God, stopped a man armed to the teeth, armed to the hilt. You guys have heard about it already, with a diatribe about how he was going to go shoot up a school. Well, we shouldn't let happenstance be a policy issue. We should pass policies. So I'm proud to work in this city with a mayor that is a welcoming mayor that is taking on issues at great political risk to himself, not because of the politics, but because it's the right thing to do. And so I will close with telling you, we are here for this community. We are here for all communities. We will call the balls and strikes. And I would say that if we created a society where people are more interested in doing their job than keeping their job, whether they're elected or appointed like I am, that we would have much better outcomes. So thank you for this invitation. Thank you for taking the time to recognize the men and women in blue and our first responders for their sacrifices. Because if you don't think that diversity is a strength, just look at Hurricane Harvey. Where if you would believe people, the whole of a city, because it's a community of a majority, that's the minority is a majority, people of color are a majority. We've got a huge immigrant population, 600,000. If they counted us all, we would be probably, I mean, let me tell you, when somebody comes to the door and you're an immigrant and it's not documented, they're not going to think they're selling Avon. They're going to hide, right? So if they counted us all, we probably are a third. But I think it's really important that what you're doing here today by inviting us is that we do a really good job sometimes of calling out police when they don't do the right thing. But I think it's just as important to lift them up, those that are doing the right thing. So I want to just say thank you today for recognizing them, recognizing the work they did during Harvey, where there was no mass looting here. There was none of that nonsense. You saw the most diverse city, the most diverse nation, which makes us the most diverse city on earth. show the rest of the world that diversity truly is a strength and something that should be celebrated. So God bless you all, and I'll open up to any questions. I'll get out of here. Get out of your hair. No questions? Boy, this is all right. Well, I just want to say thank you for the pecan coffee. My wife doesn't let me get flavored coffee at home, so she's mean. I don't argue with her. Yes, sir.
The Houston Police Department working with immigration, with Homeland Security. Yeah. Whenever you arrest somebody, do you follow procedure like other counties about immigration status and stuff like that, or what do you do?
We work with them solely when we're chasing hardened criminals. So think about that. So because there's two extremes of that policy, right? We cannot have open borders. I don't think anybody that advocates an open border, it's not going to happen. So I always say that the moderation in life is the key to success, right? Whether it's exercise or whatever you do, moderation is important. Unfortunately, it doesn't help you with much of anything. So we work with HSI to go after violent people are committing violent crimes that pose a public safety risk. If the only violation that if ICE comes to me tomorrow, and I'm not going to apologize for it because there's people in this community that beat us up for working with ICE. We don't have that many police officers here. If they come to us and say, hey, we've just identified 13 members of the MS-13 that we've got felony warrants on them, we're ready to go get them, we're going after them. But when ICE comes and tells you, hey, that construction site over there where that building's going up, we have 60% of the laborers are undocumented. You know what? They're helping to build the nation. Not to mention the fact that the only way we remain a world power is through immigration. There's just no... Sorry, white folks, we're not having babies. Get over it. Just shut the borders and we're dying as a country. I don't know how to break the news to everybody. It's just a fact of life. You know, you guys speak the truth. So that's what we try to balance it. Anything else from anybody? Next time we need to get like I feel like I'm doing this the whole time. Bad posture. All right, well, thanks again. If you need us, please call on us. God bless you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Chief, I have to tell you, my brother-in-law is a captain in a small agency in Mississippi. So he was so thrilled to know that we were going to have you here. I will do it. Thank you so much. And thank you to our first responders, our officers that have joined us. We really appreciate your service. I also want to acknowledge Deb Schmidt, who's in the audience with us. Deb, would you stand? She is a former assistant chief under Ed Gonzalez, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. She was instrumental in pushing forward LGBTQ policies in the department and has been a tremendous advocate working with us at the chamber. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. So. Wow. So you see why I said you have to follow the chief on Twitter. I mean, you just have to. And you must read it every day. Well, let me get back to our regular programming. First of all, if you're a guest with us today, would you please stand? We'd love to recognize you. Who's a guest? Or raise your hand if you're already standing. Wonderful. Heidi? Very good. Welcome. Welcome. And to our members, thank you so much. I mean, today doesn't happen without our members and the strong chamber that we're building. I'm reminded by the chief's words about how important it is for us with hate crimes going up, with our community under attack. The chamber is needed now more than ever to bring the LGBTQ and allied community together. And we don't have a chamber without our strong members. We are growing tremendously. So we want to encourage you to bring guests to upcoming events because we believe when they experience the chamber and see what the chamber's doing and how it can help their businesses grow, that people pretty much turn around and will join the chamber if it makes sense business-wise. So I also want to recognize, where's Roy Alvarez on our Founding Leadership Council, Tiffany Tosh, Founding Leadership Council. Also with Refuge is our chamber social media sponsor with her wife, Simone. And then where's Jill? Jill Maxwell, who's our membership chair. So thank you. Great leadership team. And I also want to thank our existing corporate partners. So give me just a moment because I know we've got some in the room. Our existing corporate partners, Amagi Bank. We just had our great educational series event. Where's Tom? Tom Jacobs presented last week. Wow. I'm going to take a point of personal privilege to say, wow, It was absolutely incredible. I don't know if you've ever been to a workshop where about 10 minutes in, people are picking up phones, and especially a group of business owners during lunch, picking up phones, start fidgeting, because we're busy, right? Not in the room last Thursday, I think. People were mesmerized. It was an incredible topic. Tom, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. Also, I want to recognize Comcast, United, our bronze partners, Bank of America, Chevron, Dow, East West Bank. Where's our East West Bank folks? Where's Paul? There they Cam. Very good. Yeah. Halliburton, Hilton Houston North, the Houston Dynamo Dash, Hyatt Regency, Maggiano's Little Italy Post Oak, Regions Bank, Shell, Signature Care Emergency Center. And I know one of our founding members is here today, Mike Holloman. Where is he? Where is he? Murphy Business and Financial Corporation. There he is. Mike's been with us literally since year one. We appreciate the support as a founding member. And I want to bring up, these events don't happen either without sponsors and hosts to help us pull these off. So I want to bring up our host for today. First of all, Roger Palomino. He's the Outreach Director with Houston Media Source. And I want him to tell you a little bit about what Houston Media Source is doing.
Thank you, Tammy. And thank all of you for coming today to this very special event. So those of you that are wondering who Houston Media Source is, I have to raise the mic a little. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has been here in the city of Houston for 33 years. We offer Houstonians the opportunity to come in and become a community producer and provide content to air on the channel. So all we ask is that the programming be non-commercial, and that each producer, once they show this programming on the channel, can repurpose the content. So the format in which they provide the content may be in the form of a TV show, a short film, feature film, or documentary. So this also allows everybody that becomes a community producer the opportunity to have their voices heard in a content-neutral environment. So also, in addition to being on various cable channels, we also offer internet radio. So this also gives you an added edge to those of you that might be interested in the radio portion of our organization. So our television orientation is every Monday at 6 p.m. And what it is I give you an hour tour of our facilities and give you a formal presentation about what we do here at Houston Media Source. So all you need to do is just show up, and that's pretty much it, and just enjoy the 1 hour presentation at our facility. So there's a few steps before anybody becomes a community producer. So once you show up to this orientation, then we ask for those that are interested to become a community producer, and then that way they can go ahead and receive training by using our state-of-the-art equipment such as cameras, light kits, and microphones. So I'd like to conclude by mentioning that this is the first year at Houston Media Source that we had something called the HMS Filmmaker Project. And so what this is for aspiring filmmakers in the city that want to know what it's like to be on a set, whether you want to be a director, a grip editor, or more. And you get hands-on experience creating these short films that are based in Houston and about Houston. So you get a chance to work with our equipment and some of our mentors that we bring to the project. So for more information, so those of you that are interested, you can just go to our website at hmstv.org, and you go to the link that says producer information, and it tells you all about the 2020 Filmmaker Project for next year. So we're honored to be a sponsor and to have all of you here today at this very special event honoring our first responders. And I'd like to open it up to our next guest speaker, Gerard O'Brien with Orion EMS.
Just going to say quickly, when I reached out to Gerard to ask him if he would sponsor this event, there was no hesitation on his part. Certainly having the chief here was a big draw in the work that he and, where's Karen? There she is, do at Orion EMS. But Gerard's been a huge supporter of the chamber early on, and we really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
It's a real, it's a real honor to be in here today. On this day of remembrance, and although the current environment doesn't really lend itself to the word healing, I think the country has certainly enjoyed some of the process for the past. So As an employer of several first responders, it is important to recognize that that phrase, first responders, conjures up in our mind the bravery and the courage that you all exhibit when you are faced with a crisis. And that's something that the country was faced with a long time ago. And it's a real honor to be here today and to have sponsored this. So thanks.
Beautiful. So
Thanks for the breakfast cookies, too. Maybe birthday cake next time.
yeah, Roger, tell us the name of, yes, let's do that.
Oh, yes. And also, I'd like to thank Zeppelin Coffee for providing the coffee this morning, and then also the original Kolache shop here in Houston on Telephone Road for the excellent pastries.
First kolache shop in Houston from the 1950s. Is that right? Okay, wanted to make sure I had that. So a couple of other announcements I want to recognize. Our new business level members, Houston Marriott South, Jill Maxwell, You Lucky Dog, LLC, 1 Foot Over, The Gay CPA, and ME Relocation Group. So we're growing. And then I want to make sure, let's see. I want to make sure I capture all that. So bear with me because we have a robust kind of last couple of months here, last quarter of the year with our chamber events. We want to do some great things, engage even more members and guests, etc. And then to say that we are planning a robust 2020 calendar is an understatement. So if you are interested in sponsoring an event next year, we are literally going to start mapping that out. So if you're interested, please come see me after the event because we're going to start slotting people in depending on the events. And the response has been, we're already looking at January and February, so beyond March. So come see me because I know it's a great opportunity to bring visibility for your business and also support the chamber. But speaking of, we've got the Maggiano's Mystery Dinner is this Friday, Friday evening. You can purchase tickets up until noon. On Friday. Happy Hour, September the 26th, is going to be hosted by Harold's and sponsored by Vitality IV. Just because Gerard is an ultimate entrepreneur, that is also his company as well. The Power Hour on Thursday, September 26th, is sponsored by Hefty Media Group. That's Nick Wolney. That is going to be a great topic, build your content marketing machine. And then on October the 9th, we've got our extended Brewing Up business with Metro. Board Chair Karen Patman is going to do closing remarks. She was going to originally be our speaker. She's got a conflict. She'll come in later. Sanjay, and I'm going to try to say his name, Ramabhadran, I think, Sanjay is a great Metro board member. He's been with Metro for a very long time. So what are we going to hear about from Metro? And we're going to talk about the Metro Next referendum that's going to be on the ballot in November. It's important to us as Houstonians. It's important to our region in terms of transportation, et cetera. But it's also important to us as chamber members as we think about transportation and mobility in our city and getting our workforce from A to B to C. And then October the 31st, one of our newest members, the National Museum of Funeral History. We are going to, our happy hour actually falls on Halloween night on October the 31st. So we are going to be out at the National Museum of Funeral History. And if you have not been to the museum, trust me when I say it is the coolest space in the city. It is incredible. And we're going to do a costume contest. It is just going to be a great evening. We're going to do this in collaboration with the Woodlands Pride, too, because the museum's a little up north. And so the Woodlands Pride's going to bring down some folks. We're going to be inviting the Woodlands Chamber and some other groups. So it is going to be a fun night, but a great way to network in, like I said, one of the coolest spaces in town. And then we're going to wind up the year in terms of our monthly events with our Brewing Up business. We're going to do a ribbon cutting on November the 13th at Jumper Maybach's Gallery. That is his new gallery in Uptown Park. And then keep an eye out for the details. We'll finish the year out with our holiday party, which is always a phenomenal time. That'll be in early December, and we're nailing down that location right now. So I'm not gonna reveal, but it's gonna be another cool space. And I will tell you, these kind of collaborations and partnership, like with the museum, the one that we'll be doing in December, Houston Media Source, these come about because these organizations say, not only do we want to partner with the chamber, which makes a lot of sense business and bringing visibility, but it is also, I will never forget with the CEO at the museum, the funeral museum, she said, we want the LGBTQ and allied community to know that you are welcome in this museum. We open our doors wide open, and so we are excited to have that first event with them, and we're going to be doing some more great things next year. So, okay, I think we have some door prizes. Am I right about that, Stephanie? Okay. Okay. So, pull us a card here. So the first is Served in Silence. This is our author, Mark David Gibson. He was with us at our January event, and it is about his journey in terms of serving under Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the military. So a beautifully written piece about his experiences. Oh, Roy. I'm like, Roy, okay. Redraw. Did y'all plan that? It's a morning event. Very good. Okay. Okay, and one of our sponsors, Vortex, they have great cycling, etc. They're over off of West Gray. We have one complimentary class. Did you draw your own card?
No, she drew. It wasn't rigged, I promise. I jokingly said,
And one more complimentary class for Vortex. You're going to draw. Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you to our door prize sponsors. So it's 9/11, and typically we break up into the smaller groups. Everybody has your card, your playing card? Okay. Huh? Oh, wow. Wow. 9/11. Okay. So the way we do this, we break up these into small groups so you can network a little bit more. And we do this, we use the cards. So we're going to put our hearts back over here, our clubs over here, and then our spades over here, if that's okay, and then our diamonds kind of back in here.
You got a joker. Where's the joker go?
We got a joker? That means Ann gets to go where she wants. So everybody get that? So we're gonna break up. You can do your 15-second spiel, pass around your business cards, and then if you finish up the circle, then feel free to move to the next circle. It's a great way with smaller groups to connect. And I know we've got more food and coffee outside as well, so feel free to move back out to the lobby and enjoy that as well. Anything else you want to add, Roger?
Once again, thank you for coming out today, and like she was saying, enjoy the coffee and pastries.
And again, thank you to our first responders for all you do for our city, for the daily sacrifices that you make, and we really, really appreciate you. In fact, would you stand so we can just give you a round of applause? And I do have to mention, Teresa, with HPD, she didn't know I was going to do this, but she told me this morning that it's her birthday. So, happy birthday, Teresa. You bet, you bet. Okay, everybody break up into the groups, enjoy pastry. Thank you again for being here, and thank you for supporting the chamber.
Should we go cupping?
There you go.
I'm a joker. I don't get to go anywhere. That's good.